I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is a regular meeting of the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas. It is April the 8th, 2025. We're at the Central Jury Room of the Ralph H. Walton Jr. Justice Center at 1200 West Pearl Street in Granbury, Texas. We're very honored and pleased to have with us today the pastor of Hope Community Church, Pastor Lowell Erkenbach, who is a very renowned person in the ministerial service and also in the fire service, a total servant of God.
Please bow your heads. Lord, we just thank you that your grace and mercy constantly flow over us. Lord, I ask you today that our leaders in this county understand that all authority flows from you, Lord, that they surround themselves today with spiritually mature people to speak into their lives, Lord. Lord, I ask that they acknowledge you in all ways so you will direct their path, Lord. Lord, I ask everything to be brought in the light today and nothing left hidden, Lord, that we can move forward in unity as a community, Lord. I ask you to continue to guide us and continue to lead us, Lord, as we move into a new season in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, we got one special presentation here today, and that's designating April as Autism Awareness Month. Okay, sorry about that. We have one presentation today, and that's designating April as Autism Awareness Month. Is there anybody from the organization here today? Do we have the proclamation? Yes, we do. Y'all want to?
If I could get it. There you go.
I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation. It's official proclamation to designate April as Autism Awareness Month. Whereas about 1 in 36 children in the United States have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and about 1 in 45 adults in the United States have been identified with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. And whereas autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disorder that impacts the way individuals communicate and interpret their environment, and whereas individuals with ASD often have challenges with social interactions and processing information, and whereas individuals with ASD often have difficulty understanding what others are trying to tell them and therefore struggle with social interactions, and whereas autism spectrum disorder begins in early childhood and eventually causes problems functioning in society. Now, therefore, the Hood County Commissioners Court hereby proclaims the month of April 2025 as Autism Awareness Month and calls upon all citizens in Hood County to increase their participation in understanding, supporting, encouraging autism awareness and acceptance for inclusion to ensure individuals with ASD are given opportunities to succeed and live the best quality of life. Signed this 8th day of April 2025 by the county judge and all the commissioners. So that's everybody. This is an important deal. So we're going to all sign this, and you will sign the rest of this. And we'll let Christine hold that with them, okay? All right. That's all that we have on that, and the awards too. So that brings us now to the citizens' comment at large, and we have two, right, Christine? Okay. The first one is Greg Harrell.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning. I wanted to speak very quickly and bring this Commissioners Court up to date and up to speed on the position of the Republican Party of Texas in regards to what you have already, a resolution that you've already passed regarding battery energy storage systems here in Hood County. A lot has developed in the last, even in the last couple of months in regards to these battery energy storage systems. During the conduct of the Republican Party's state convention last May in San Antonio, the Republican Party of Texas established 8 89th session legislative priorities for Texas. Number 6 was secure the electric grid. It was not anticipated that we would address the battery energy storage systems issue when this legislative priority was established, but because things have progressed so quickly and because the technology and some other developments have progressed so quickly, the party has pivoted to specifically move in this area of battery energy storage systems. I'm going to read you into the record a one-page summary of where the party is in regards to these BESS systems. Purpose: to ensure that the battery energy storage facilities meet proper permitting requirements, follow utility codes, fire marshal codes, fire safety and emergency operation plans, municipal ordinances, and county guidelines. Situation: over 900 battery energy storage systems are planned for Texas and are being built in unincorporated areas of Texas counties with minimal permitting, leaving numerous Texas residents vulnerable to personal harm, noise nuisance, health risks, decline in property values, environmental and livestock damage, and water contamination from potential thermal runaway episodes. And then it goes on to cite proposed legislation that is being progressed through the House because of the quickly developing situation with these BESS systems. I won't read those out loud right now, but I will say this, that the party has adopted for now the position that we do not want to BESS with Texas. Don't BESS with Texas. You need to be aware of some background information in regards to these issues. Number one, these BESS energy storage systems, these battery energy storage systems are technology that is quickly progressing, and legislation has failed to keep up with the deployment of this technology. What we're asking for is we're asking for some time to get legislation in place that would provide for proper setbacks, proper understanding of what this technology is. And so we need some time. We're asking the county commissioners to give us time when you take into consideration things like the installation of new systems here in the county. Number 2, and this is probably more important, the technology, these facilities, 900 planned for Texas, these are being backed by foreign corporations. This is not a domestic issue, and it's certainly not domestic to Texas. These corporations are from China and Finland and Denmark and other places that have been subsidized as a result of the passage of economic stimulus actions by the Biden administration. These things are subsidized at up to 35%. They don't play, and as a matter of fact, and one of the key issues is the countries that are placing these into rural Texas don't allow these facilities in their own nations. Because we are a personal rights state, they see Texas as a prime operating ground for the deployment of these facilities that would not even be allowed to be deployed in their own nations. We are the victims of our own love of freedom and liberty here in the state of Texas. Please don't mess with Texas. Thank you.
Okay, the second speaker is Faye Landon.
Well, I attend all these meetings and have for many years, but very seldom do I get up here to speak. But today, I'm here to honor Ashley Terry, our little reporter from the Hood County News. They recently had their awards, and for our region, she was the first place winner in news writing, first place winning in headline writing, third place in the Northeast Texas Press Association Journalist of the Year. And I'm so proud of her and so proud she's here at every meeting and reports everything you guys say, good, bad, or ugly. Thank you.
Well, good. Come on up. Say a few words. You're always listening. Say a few words. Go ahead. Say a few words.
I'm always sitting, over there.
I know.
And listening, and I never, actually come up and talk. But I love getting up. I love getting up here for a change. This is really cool. Anyway, so I have honestly loved getting to report on Commissioner's Court for the past, I think, year and a half. Since Kathy Cruz left, it was kind of thrust into my lap. And it was something that I was in way over my head for. I mean, I had to learn about stuff that I've never reported on. I've had to do lots of research. And to get first place in news writing is the first time I have ever even submitted an entry in that before. So to get first place in that is amazing. Yeah. And so I'm very humble, so this is really weird for me. But I'm really thankful, and I'm happy, so.
Thank you. You do a great job.
Thank you so much.
All right. That's all we have then, right, Christine, of the comments? Okay. Now we're down to the miscellaneous business items. Item number 1, discuss and take appropriate action to approve reimbursement to the county judge for the PFIA, which stands for Public Fund Investments Act, training in October of 2024. What happened on that is that they had canceled the meeting in August that I had signed up for. I then had to take it online. We submitted to a different place. We try to get the receipt for that. I paid for it, and I'd just like to get the $240 back that I paid for it. It's a good thing that I did training when we had the auditor come down here. That's one of the things that they asked for. Where's the judge's certificate to show that he passed that investment deal? So I did pass it, so I'd like to have it back.
240.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, $240. That's at least one meal down at Christina's, so anyway. So do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Judge, I'll make the motion to approve the reimbursement for the PFIA training in October 24.
Second.
Okay, a motion is made by Commissioner Andrews to approve reimbursement to the county judge for the PFIA training in October of 2024 in the amount of $240, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Good, passes unanimous. All right. Item number 2, discuss and take appropriate action to appoint a board member to serve a 4-year term on the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District beginning on June 1st, 2025. I think we only had one application on that, and that was Mr. Lusk on that. So do I hear a motion?
Yes, I move that we appoint and approve, Mr. Lusk for serve a term of 4 years for the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District beginning June 1, 2025.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Wilson to appoint Mr. Lusk as to continue as a board member, serving a 4-year term on the Upper Trinity Groundwater Conservation District beginning on June 1st, 2025. Second by Dave Eagle. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimous. All right, unanimously. Item number 3, discuss and take appropriate action to sign the City of Granbury's event application on request from the Granbury Wine Walk related to vendor parking around the historic courthouse during the Wine Walk on Friday, April 25th and Saturday, April 26th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., set up to begin at 8 a.m. on Friday and take down by 8 p.m. on Saturday. I guess everybody, this is something that we've done every year since I know. Do I hear a motion?
Move that we approve the City of Granbury's event application on request for the Granbury Wine Walk related to vendor parking around the historic courthouse during the Wine Walk on Friday, April the 25th, and Saturday, April 26th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. was set up to begin at 8 a.m. on Friday and take down by 8 p.m. on Saturday.
Second.
It must have been made by Commissioner Wilson to sign the City of Granbury's event application for the Granbury Wine Walk at the appointed times and stated. Second by Commissioner Samuelson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Again, the motion carries unanimously. Item number 4, discuss and take appropriate action to purchase a 2022 Ford F600 brush truck from Gary Mercer for $245,000 out of Fund 55 and exempt purchasing from the competitive bidding process pursuant to Local Government Code 262.024A2 discretionary exemption as a, quote, item necessary to preserve or protect the public health or safety or the residents of Hood County, plus the fact that it's a very good deal and we need it. Am I right? Yes, Chief Becker? Go ahead. Yes, sir. Fire
Judge,
Marshal
Commissioners,
Young.
I was just here to answer any questions.
It's a good deal.
It is a good deal, considering the sister truck that was built at the same time sold for about $290.
Jeff, could
Because they like Becker so much, is that, you think that had anything to do with it?
That might have something to do with it. I'm not sure.
That's what I thought too.
Could you give the voters a little bit of explanation why we're doing this discretionary exemption on this particular unit?
Yes, sir. So this truck is already built and on the market. If we go through our bidding process, that typically takes about 3 months, and asking the vendor to hold on to that truck for 3 months while we go through a bidding process and all of that stuff, that's the whole purpose for the exemption.
And if we ordered a new one, how long would it take us to get it?
It really all kind of depends on the who's building it and what the availability of the chassis is. Ordinarily, they're about a year out.
So we've got one at hand here that we can purchase that's virtually new.
And pick up tomorrow.
Is this replacing a unit?
Yes, so this would be the cabin chassis and bed replacement for their current county vehicle that has had some issues and is becoming costly on repairs and maintenance to keep it running. So this would be to replace that vehicle.
So it's replacing an older vehicle?
Correct.
If we waited and ordered a new one, it would take up to a year?
Maybe even a
Possibly.
little longer than that, because
We've been waiting over almost,
Lipan just recently bought another truck, and it was a little bit smaller version, a little lighter weight and smaller tank, and it was $215,000. So
Right.
the price for the larger unit and the larger tank and everything is absolutely in line with those things, and this is a good deal.
And based on the capabilities of this truck, this is essentially equal to 2 brush trucks that we have now, because our current brush trucks have a 300-gallon tank. This one's got 700 gallons.
Yep.
So they'll be able to fight twice as much fire in half the time, I guess.
Talking with Joshua firefighters Saturday night at an event, they had just received one that had 2 300-gallon tanks on it, and they paid like $250, right at $250 for it.
Right.
You know, and there was about a 14-month build on that one. Because I was out there looking at it, because it's brand spanking new. It hadn't even been in the field yet, and it was, that's where they're at on that one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, Chief Becker, you signed up to say, come up here and tell us about it. How did you pull this off?
Well, we're fortunate. Jerry, for a while, Jerry used to be the fire chief in Godley. And he, when his boys wanted to get in the fire department, they came up and joined Crescent, and Jerry came along. But he lived too far away to really catch up and catch trucks and everything, so he said, well, I'm just going to build my own fire truck so I can come from the house. Well, his boys grew up and moved on, and he got real busy, and so he said, I'm not going to be able to keep coming up here. Well, he built these trucks, and so he goes to selling one, and I said, Jerry, what about making me a deal on that other one? And that's kind of how this came about. The advantage of this, and Kevin knows, you know, what we do, there's brush trucks and there's brush trucks, but this one's designed by a guy who knows the kind of fires we do. If I was to sit here and design a brush truck today, I don't know, and Jeff came out and inspected it and everything, I don't know we'd change one thing on this truck. It's just exactly the type of thing, and the extra water is starting to be important. You know, 20 years ago, we would have big acre grass fires, a couple of brush trucks from each station, 800,000 acre fires. Well, we've learned you need lots of brush trucks and lots of points of attack to keep these fires smaller. And now we're transitioning to where these fires threaten a lot of houses, because houses are getting built where used to just be pasture. And this is exactly the kind of truck with the extra water that you need for the type of things that we're being called on to do. I looked the stats up. Crescent, you know, a couple of years ago we had a bad grass fire year, and in that 12-month period, March to March, just in Hood County, we responded to 84 grass fires. That's the type of thing that this thing would be going on. Now, we haven't had to do that recently, but here 2 weeks ago, y'all know we were down there and y'all had to put a burn ban on right at the gates of Pecan. On that fire, we put 15 firefighters and 7 apparatus down there, about a third of what the force was working on that fire. So we got the personnel to run this thing, get it out, and it has the advantage of having spray bars on the bumper, so it can be a one-person truck when you need to stretch people. And if we had the money in the bank account, I'd be saying this is the kind of thing we ought to be going and buying, but it's a good deal for y'all, particularly with the truck that we got that's going to give up the ghost before too long.
Good. Thank you. I think we got it. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir. I'm going to move that we make a motion that we approve the purchase of this 2022 Ford F600 brush truck from Jerry Mercer for $245,000 to come out of Fund 55, and exempt purchasing from the competitive bidding process pursuant to Local Government Code 262.024, subsection A, subsection 2, as a discretionary exemption as, quote, an item necessary to preserve or protect the public health or safety of the residents of this county, end quote.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Eagle to purchase a 2022 Ford F-60 brush truck from Gary Mercer for $245,000 out of Fund 55, exempt from purchasing. Second by Commissioner Samuelson. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you both for all y'all do.
Thanks, sir.
Really.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay, item number 5, discuss and take appropriate action to consider revising the employee compensation overtime policy to allow sick and holiday leave to be used before compensation time at supervisor/employee request. Ms. Melissa Welber.
Yes, good morning. I believe the treasurer has received some comments regarding this policy. So what we want to do is give the employee time to use some of their holiday leave. I'd like to bring this policy back to the court and visit with you about it starting October 1st, how we can move forward with our holiday leave and comp time and how the timesheets are handled. But for now, I'd like to do what's best for the employee and revise some of this policy to allow the employee to designate if they want to use holiday time prior to their comp time.
So that's their choice. They got the holiday time. They can use that prior to using their comp time. That's all.
Yes, they would like to. There's a few employees that would like to use their holiday time prior to using their comp time.
Current policy, it says comp time must be used first. Is that correct?
Before all leave.
Before.
Yes.
Okay. So, Sheriff, you signed up to speak on this, and so did Jody
Okay.
McGuire, so.
Yeah, I want to thank the court for all the special things they do and the holidays that they give to the regular employees. Well, for my people, we work 24/7, not 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And with this policy, then my guys are just going to, that work shift work, are just going to lose the holiday time. And they hold comp time over for years, basically, because we don't have enough people to help people to get caught up or to take that holiday time. So we need to change that policy back to where we can use the holiday time, and brought Jody along to give some statistics. So she signed up to speak also, but please change this, because it's hard enough on my people. They work for free a lot of times, and now you're just going to tell them they're going to work for free on holidays too. So they get a holiday day, but they never can take it off. So that's not fair to the employees that work the shift work.
Thank you. All right, Jody McGuire.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge. I'd like to urge you to approve this policy. As a person responsible for payroll in the Sheriff's Office, I witnessed firsthand the significant number of hours worked by our dedicated team to ensure the safety of this county. The previous version of the policy did not specify the use of holiday separate from comp. Historically, we've used holiday time first, unless an employee had maxed out their vacation. This practice was in place to ensure employees could use their holiday time they'd earned before it expires at the end of the fiscal year. Clarifying the policy to mandate that comp time be used first disproportionately affects the Sheriff's Office and shift workers. Our employees are essential workers, and many are required to work on holidays. We should not penalize them for this requirement. With the changes that were approved on the last court, I can guarantee that many Sheriff's Office employees will lose that holiday time each year. That time is valuable. It represents time taken away from their families and their personal lives. It would be unfair for these policies to be implemented and cause them to lose this benefit that they've earned. Please support this revision. I can tell you right now, we have 62 employees with over 40 hours of comp time. I could never get through that before I could use their holiday time. And we have 33 of those have over 100 hours of comp time. So those people would lose this time, their earned holiday time at the end of the year, if I can't use that first. Thank you.
I think that there's been an understanding here, especially in the Sheriff's Office, because, these are your good employees that show up and work faithfully and build up that comp time, and they're usually the ones that are picking up extra shifts and stuff. Those are the ones that are going to miss out with this particular policy. I would like to see us do something with holiday pay, and we're kicking some ideas around ways to avoid this for next year. But with the understanding that the way that we were operating, this policy changed that, and I think we need to go back to allowing the way that we had been doing it, at least through the end of the year until we can come up to the new fiscal year and take some action to address this particular issue. So
Your motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that in the policy, and Gosh, I wish I could have written this down. I just kind of made some notes with Ms. Welborn yesterday that,
I think Melissa has it written down.
do you? Okay.
It's on the second page, under compensatory time use. Compensatory time shall be used first prior to any other leave unless the employee requests holiday time or has exceeded the maximum amounts on their vacation accruals. In the event the vacation time is maxed, vacation will be used first to take the vacation time back to the under maximum amount. Then I would like to strike the sentence that says, once accrued comp time is exhausted, absences shall be charged to vacation or sick leave or holiday as appropriate and designated by the supervisor.
So that's the motion.
Yes, sir.
That's the
This
motion.
allows the employee to request the holiday
You
time
got
prior
that
to
down,
comp.
Christine? Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion been made by Commissioner Andrews, as stated and read into the record by Ms. Melissa Welborn, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Jody. Okay. All right. Item number 6.
What's that?
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, item number 6, discuss and take appropriate action to allow the county judge to sign the access and liability agreement from Family Dollar related to the repair of the retaining wall between the Acton Annex and Family Dollar.
Thank
Samuelson.
Thank you, Judge. A little background on this. As people may be aware, we have an ongoing bid process looking for a contractor to repair the wall between the Acton Annex and Family Dollar. The owners of the Family Dollar building asked us to sign this liability agreement, and in the meantime, Ms. Welborn has reached out to our legal staff at Texas Association of Counties, and I think I know I put this on here, but at this point, I'm recommending that we table this until we have the actual contractors, because based on the recommendations from Texas Association of Counties, which we got after I put this on the agenda. So I'm making a motion to table this until we have the exact contractor that we will select to do the work.
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Samuelson to table item number 6, and second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion is unanimous to table it until we get contract, I guess, right? All right. Item number 7, convene into executive session to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to the Texas Government Code. We're going to take that at the end of the meeting. So that brings us to number 8, discuss the opportunity for the Hood County Sheriff's Department to join other Texas counties participating in the ICE 287G program in support of President Trump's executive order 14159, protecting the American people against invasion, signed on January the 20th, 25. This executive order requires ICE to authorize state law enforcement officials, as the Secretary of Homeland Security determines, are qualified and appropriate under Section 287G of the Immigration and Nationality Act to the maximum extent permitted by law. Take appropriate action if needed. This was put on by Commissioner Samuelson, but we have, what is it, 6 speakers, so 6 into 30 is how much? You gonna give them 5? Okay, we got, all right. Okay, you want to start this off, Commissioner Samuelson?
Sheriff Deeds, do you want to talk about what you've done up to this point prior to might give some people some insight before the comments?
Well, I feel like this is being forced down my throat, but I've looked into it. With the Sheriff's Association of Texas sent out some information on all this, but they didn't have all the information, so I started trying to check on it. Emailed a lot of people, and I finally got to email Washington, D.C., and it trickled back to Dallas real quick, and then they finally called me back. And I also talked to some people that are involved in this program. I think Lubbock is the Sheriff's Office has been with it the longest, because they got involved with this 7 years ago when Trump was in office the first time. So they are do the jail part, where they have to send their people off for 4 weeks at a time to get trained back on the East Coast, and then they come back. And this makes it easier so that for the big counties, so they can deal with stuff on their own when they get illegal aliens in, and going through the paperwork and then putting them on the detainers. For us, the way this has always worked, never had any problems at all. We get an illegal alien in, or get a person in that's born in another country, I'll put it that way. And so we're required then, and always have done it the same way every time, we get somebody that's born in another country that's arrested for breaking the law of the great state of Texas, then we call ICE up in the Dallas phone number up there, and they look into it, and then they put a detainer on them or not. It's up to them to decide to do that. So over the years, they're the ones that do that. We put a detainer on them. They go through whatever county process they got arrested on, or a state process. If it's a felony and they get found guilty of that, then they go off to prison, and then the prison sends them off on deporting them at that point. But if they're doing county time from a DWI or something like that, then when they're done, the court system is done with them, then we give ICE a call, and by law, they have to come within 48 hours to pick the person up. And I've been threatened by immigration attorneys to let them go, but it's good because they come at about 4 o'clock in the morning and pick them up, and so they say, I'm coming up to give you heck the next morning, and they're already long gone. Well, where are they at? Well, they're with ICE. So we've been complying with all that for years, always have, since before I was a sheriff. So under Trump, then they developed this 287 program. There's 3 parts of that. The jail program, where they send people off to the East Coast, get them trained for 4 weeks. They come back and they do ICE's job for them. The next thing would be the warrant service officer, or then what they get. And that was the part that I was unsure of. How much training do they have to go through, and where is it? Well, I finally got the guy in Dallas to say it's 8 hours of online training. And so I said, okay, I'm going to send some of my investigators to it. And he said, no, this is for the jail too. And so when you read that, you think, okay, we're going to get the sheriff's department out, and we're going to go raid the houses of the illegal aliens and carry them off to deport them. Well, that's not the case. That warrant officer just will serve the warrant. So the night before immigration, I guess, comes to pick them up, go meet with them, and we need Spanish-speaking people, and they tell them, hey, you're going to be deported in the morning, and so have a nice life. And so that's as far as that goes, but it takes 8 hours of training to get it. I have not been through the training. I did send off my paperwork a while back to get approved, waiting to hear back from them. So it's in ICE's hands to approve my paperwork. The next thing is the task force. So the task force people, then they have to do a 40-hour class. So that takes a person away from all of that. And then I guess I lose that person, because they're going to go out and help round up the illegal aliens with ICE when they go on their deals. Don't know that all for sure, but I know that it's 40 hours of training. I don't have the people to send off to that. And from talking to these other agencies, I know Collin County is working on doing the jail portion of it. Tarrant County does the jail portion of it, and they've got it on their website where they've sent people off for that 4 weeks of training. And then Lubbock County, I talked to them yesterday again, that they've done that 4 weeks of training and have the people in their jail that take care of that stuff. They don't even have any idea from what the people in Dallas are saying on how they're going to do that training for the task force. So as far as I know, there's not any task force people from sheriff's departments in the state of Texas. So anyway, I sent off my paperwork. I'm waiting to hear back from them. We'll be part of that, even though we've been doing that all along. We just never had a written agreement, I guess, so to speak, but they've always taken care of us, and we've always worked with them very well, so.
The paperwork is on the warrant process or on all three?
Well, you got to send a letter that says them asking, so I'm asking to the acting executive director to approve the sheriff's office. You had to be the warrant service officer is the one that I put in here, because we're not big enough to worry about, like in Lubbock and in Collin County, Tarrant County, they deal with a lot of people every day, these illegal aliens. Right now, I got on the books 11 people. So they're waiting their time, that they're doing their process, and when they're done, then we'll send them off to, get deported.
And I would like to make a point, if I can interject here, that these people are still going through the process of the judicial system. These people have committed a crime, and they're in some stage of that, either going to trial or being dealt with through the justice system. So it's not like they instantly disappeared. You call ICE, they put a retainer. If they're out tomorrow, ICE comes and picks them up, or if they're out, a year from now after going through the trial process, then they do that at that point. So just wanted to make sure that we understood that this doesn't necessarily take somebody out of the jail tomorrow by getting this paperwork done. They still have to go through the judicial system here in Hood County.
They go through the system. It doesn't matter how long it is. If it's a shorter length of time, if it's on county charges, misdemeanor crimes, but then if it's felony, then most likely they're going to be shipped to prison, and when they're done, then they'll deport them from there. So the hold is still on them. The immigration hold is still on them for however long they're going to be with me or with the prison system. So we've always complied with that, but the thing is, we don't have back, say a year ago, we were running 3, 4, 5, 6 in the system. That's all we got. I don't go out looking for them. We don't have enough people to worry about that. Plus, it's not legal for me to do that. So they get arrested, they come to jail, and we deal with it from there. So this having 11, actually we had 14 on this piece of paper that I got here, but 3 have already been deported. So ICE picked them up, and where they're at, I don't know. I guess they go to Dallas first, and then, but that's not my issue. That's not my problem. So in the last year, there's been a couple of months that we've had up to, I think 19 is the most we've ever had on hold. But majority of the time, it's around 5 or 6. So it's not that many that we deal with. So I feel like what's appropriate for Hood County is that warrant officer one. So.
And that's what you filled the paperwork out for?
That's what I filled the paperwork out for. They started pushing this out before the people out in the field in the Dallas office even knew what to do and how to do it. So, but they told me how to do the other stuff, so that's what I put in for. I knew we didn't need to, we don't process many of these people every day, so that's not worth me losing people for 4 weeks. So the warrant officer one is the one that I signed up for. So we're working with them, and we're in a holding pattern now for that.
So the big thing is that you're cooperating with ICE.
Always have.
And always have on this deal, as opposed to some jurisdictions that don't. So.
Yeah, we're not Dallas, we're not Houston. We've always worked with them, and they've always worked with us. So,
okay.
Any other questions of me?
Not yet, but maybe, depending on.
We've got a bunch of people that's lined up to speak on this. The first speaker is Gary Foreman.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court. Appreciate the opportunity. I planned on bringing some notes up here, and I think this issue is so close to me, and it started many years ago. But I want to start with a quote that goes back at least a couple of centuries. Edmund Burke said, he said, "The world's a dangerous place, not because of those who do us evil, but because those who do nothing about it." And this whole immigration thing has been kicked down the road, as everyone knows, for too long. So we're all gathered today to problem solve what can be done. A little backstory of why I'm here. I'm very interested. I do support the president. I do support ICE. My role in the last, I hate to say it, that many years, but over 50 years I've been in media. I have lots of boots on the ground. I have been connected to White House advisors and people in NATO and many, many places around the country and also the globe. And I have some very interesting experience growing up with that. And number one, my mom was an immigrant. She was from Germany, came here as a war bride, a very wrong time to be here. And one of the first things I found in the letters in our archives from my parents when they were exchanging letters about the proposal bringing her back to America. And she said very clearly in these letters, we have to follow the laws. And she made sure that she was dotting every I and crossing every T. They respected even my grandparents, who were Germans under Hitler, and they knew that their daughter was going to marry an American. They respected the American way of life. That has been lost on us. That's why this can is being kicked down the road. We lost the sense of who we are. Next year is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. Well, it's already the American Revolution this month, but next year is the Declaration of Independence. 250 years. And what Jefferson did on the draft of the Declaration, he wrote about the uniqueness of being an American. He called it an expression of the American mind. And we've lost that idea. I helped start the History Channel programming in 1994. I produced over 60, maybe 70 major documentaries for networks, for different channels. It's not about me. I was surrounded by phenomenal scholars. We all talked about this thing 30-some years ago. And here we are today. And why? Because we lost a sense of responsibility. What is responsibility? The willingness to see yourself as cause in the matter. It's not about judgment or blame. It's willing to see yourself as the creator for what exists. And what exists today. We have to take responsibility for that. If we do not have borders, if we do not have a country, it goes together. If we don't have a country of uniqueness, then we do not have the United States of America. I still have family in Germany and other places around the globe, friends around the globe. And they're all going through, this is not a Texas thing now. This is not a United States thing. This is a world situation where globalism is trying to overwork the uniqueness of every sovereign country. And in Germany, I will report back to you, and you will not hear this in the media. In Bavaria, Germany, over 70,000 Muslims were kicked out of there because they were destroying the hospitals, the schools, and their way of life. They were not here to assimilate in Germany. They are not here to assimilate many of them who are coming here now. So, what I think is necessary is us to focus on what is it that we want. And I think we want that uniqueness of America. But even more so, we have to come together as a community to communicate. We have to let the sheriff know that we're standing ready, shoulder to shoulder with him and the rest of you, the leaders here in front of me, I'm 75 years old, and I'm willing to go out there with the sheriff and anybody else as an American, as a Texan, for sharing and protecting the uniqueness of our life. We're losing our sense of who we are. We better grab it, because time is running out. A lot of people have no idea where we are. We're at ground zero, folks. Communicate and pull us together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Shelby Stover.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you. A lot of what I was going to ask, I think the sheriff kind of touched on it. I was just wondering, has there been a spike in crimes committed here in the county by illegals? Has there been more drugs brought in by illegals than what we always have here in the county? And is our jail, overrun by illegals? What you're proposing is going to put neighbors against neighbors, families against families. It's just, it's going to put us against each other and at odds if we bring ICE into our community. And it's going to put an unneeded strain on the workforce. How many tourists will want to visit our little historic town with the fear that the events, churches, music venues, homes, schools, businesses could be raided at any time? People come here from all over to relax, have fun, and not to worry whether they will be stopped, detained, and possibly deported. Please be reasonable. Don't promote fear, anger, hatred, and violence in our town. Thank you.
The next speaker is Greg Harold.
Morning. Last night, during the conduct of the Hood County Republican Party Executive Committee, the party passed a resolution supporting the adoption of the 287G program by the Hood County Sheriff's Department. I won't read the resolution because I want to address a couple of other things that were mentioned up here. But one of the things is said, whereas as of March 24th, 2025, 59 county sheriff's offices in the great state of Texas have already implemented or commenced the process to implement one or more of the ICE 287G models. Not only the sheriff's departments, but other law enforcement agencies as well, including the Texas State Attorney General's Office has adopted the 287G program in one or more of the three various forms. I want to address a couple of things. I pulled down the memorandum of agreements that are associated with each one of these models from the ICE website. And so what all the sheriff's office would have to do is enter into one or more of these MOAs, depending on how the sheriff's office decides to deploy this program. Here's the 287G jail enforcement model MOA. I'm just going to quote from that. The purpose of this collaboration is to enhance the safety and security of communities by focusing resources on identifying and processing removable aliens who have been arrested and booked into the LEA's jail correction facilities. Therefore, only the sheriff's officer here in Hood County can do this because they're responsible for the jail. And then it goes on to say this MOA sets forth the terms and conditions pursuant to which selected LEA personnel will be nominated, trained, and approved by ICE to perform certain limited functions of an immigration officer within the LEA's jail correctional facilities. So I want to go on and just read this. There's a designation in this MOA, and it carries across all three of the MOAs, but in varying degrees. But here's what it says. Cost and expenditures. ICE is responsible for the cost, pardon me, of the LEA personnel's travel expenses while in a training status. So ICE picks up the tab, as authorized by the Federal Travel Regulation and the ICE Travel Handbook. These expenses include housing, per diem, and all transportation costs associated with getting to and from training. ICE is responsible for salaries and benefits of all ICE personnel, including the instructors and the supervisors, but they pick up the tab for most of the training. Here's the model that has to do with, as Sheriff Deeds cited, he wants to implement maybe the Warrant Service Officer Program. The purpose of this collaboration is to promote public safety by facilitating the custodial transfer of specific aliens in LEA jail corrections facilities to ICE for removal purposes at the time of the alien's scheduled release from criminal custody. And it goes on to say that this MOA sets forth the terms and conditions pursuant to that activity. The LEA, well, I'll just go on to the costs and expenditures associated with this MOA, this activity. If ICE determines the training provides a direct service for the government and it is in the best interest of the government may issue travel orders to selected personnel and reimburse travel, housing, and per diem expenses. The LEA remains responsible for paying salaries and benefits of the selected personnel. So ICE is willing to take on a bulk of the cost associated with the law enforcement personnel receiving the training. This is an enhanced program. The President signed this executive order on day one, Inauguration Day. It's an enhanced model. What has been out there in the past from the first administration may no longer be applicable. This is what's being done today, and we urge the Sheriff's Office to adopt one or more of these models. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Harold Granick.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. This number 8 got me up in the morning to come here. Yes, it's an executive order that was signed on day one, but I think we're forgetting some of the processes. The previous speaker said how it protects us all. One may want to speak to Mr. Garcia, who's incarcerated in El Salvador because due process, he was not given any due process, and the federal government has admitted, the Department of Justice, that, oh, that was a mistake, oops, but he's incarcerated and we can't do anything about it. That defies the principles of our founding fathers for due process. And this is one more, this is not, it's been signed an executive order. I understand that there was a 5-4 decision yesterday by the Supreme Court, which means at least one of the conservative justices ruled against that. And it's said, well, but we have to look further how the ICE is handling the due process. Well, that's a very fundamental thing. That's in our Constitution. Everyone gets that. I wonder anybody in this audience or any of the commissioners would like to go down and be in El Salvador to substitute for Mr. Garcia, who they can't get out because they say, well, that's out of our jurisdiction now. It violates the fundamental principles on which this country was founded. ICE could pick up any one of the people in this audience or any of the commissioners if they look suspicious. I think Commissioner Samuelson's safe because El Salvador doesn't want any women to be put in there. But everyone should have due process, and I would urge that the commissioners table this or vote against it until it gets explored and decide what is legal and not just an executive order that gets signed on day one without it being looked at. You know, the law in which this was done, I believe, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'll defer, but was first instituted by Adams because he didn't like people who were criticizing him, and we could get rid of them that way. It was used in World War II to inter the Japanese, and later was apologized that that was inappropriately used, and now but it's supposed to be used during time of war, and maybe I've not watched the news carefully enough, but we don't seem to be in any declared war. So I think that Hood County should make a stand and not support this until it's understood, until decisions are made that it is valid and not be forced down by executive order being signed on day one without being looked at. So I encourage commissioners to vote to either table this or vote against it. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker is Tim Bolton. Mr. Bolton? Okay, the next speaker is Tina Brown.
Good morning. I have to tell you, at this point in this conversation, I'm more confused than when I got here. The sheriff says we are doing everything with ICE that we should be doing. I'm confused as if this program means that we're going to go out and look for them. That's not been addressed. Is that what this is about? Because I realize being here illegally is illegal, so they are criminals in the sense. But are we going to, is this program meant for us to go out and look for them and put them in our jails? In that case, you know, I have to wonder, I mean, Harold says that money's going to come from ICE, but that's what he read was kind of, maybe if you follow these things and those things, and you know, maybe we'll be compensated. But at the beginning, we're going to have to send 4 away to get training. Who's going to pay for replacements of those 4? Because we can't go with that. That's a big chunk of our officers on the street every day. So I would think we would need to hire more people if we're going to go out and look for illegals in the county. I would think we're going to have to hire more people, because our people are doing the best job they can, just trying to get the people that are doing something illegal, you know, like getting caught illegal doing, you know, murder or fraud or, you know, any number of things. So I'm concerned about that. I am kind of with Harold Grenick here. It's like there's not enough answers. There's too many what ifs and how and no concrete answers. So I would like to ask you to table this, have a workshop, figure out all the answers before we have a vote on it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, that's all the speakers. Yes, Sheriff.
Well, I could answer a few questions. So no matter what part of this that I would agree to ever get we're not going to go out and arrest people without them breaking the law of the state of Texas. 2 years ago, the legislature passed that a peace officer is supposed to be able to do that. Well, then the Supreme Court is saying, no, you can't do that, and they're still haggling over that today. So that's not passed. So it has to be ICE that gets these people. Well, it's on a warrant that we can't enforce. So no, the parts that we're going to be involved in would be in the jail, and that's all. So the first part, the jail deal where you send them off, that's just the jailers. The second part, that's even still the jailers. I need to have jailers that can speak Spanish for the most part, and they're just going to assist with the paperwork to get them through the system just like we do now, but we'll be signing an agreement with the feds to do this. But it's just in the jail. It's not going out hunting down people, anything like that. We'll be there to do what we've always done as far as the criminals in the county that are breaking the law, the state of Texas, but this is a different subject. And so I've been called a couple times when ICE has come down to pick up people. It's something they do, not us, and we haven't had any problems, but the sheriff's office is not going to be a part of that. So the jail part is. We're working on that and waiting until I hear back from them. But I've already signed the thing requesting us to do that, and I don't think it takes the court to do anything further. I'm going to be a part of it. We're going to keep on moving forward. So I hope I've answered any other questions. So.
How many of your jailers are bilingual?
Well, we were talking about that yesterday, and I think I've got 4 or 5, which I wouldn't probably get all of them involved in this, but at least a couple of them involved, because like I stated earlier, it's not that we're dealing with these guys every day coming in the door, illegal aliens. We get, a dozen or, well, I've got 11. I've got 11 in the system right now, and they've got the detainers on them, so it's not an everyday thing. So I thought, well, I'll probably just get 2 sent to this training. And it's not sending them because it's supposed to be online training. So it's not going to cost anything other than their time that day to take the training. Now, with the other ones, for the big jail, I can see where maybe it would help getting those guys to the 4 weeks of training, and that's back on the East Coast. But I don't feel that that's necessary for us. If we were dealing with 50 a day, okay, maybe, but we're not. We're dealing with just a handful every once in a while. So
I do have a letter that was sent to me that they asked, it couldn't be here today, so they asked me to read it. It's from the Texas Deportation Alliance, signed by 112 Hood County residents. We, the undersigned residents and concerned citizens of Hood County, demand immediate action by the Hood County Sheriff and the Commissioner's Court. It is time to stop sitting on the sidelines and step up to protect the community by entering into 287G deportation agreement and the U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE. This program empowers local law enforcement to identify, detain, and deport dangerous illegal immigrants who threaten our safety, drain our resources, and flagrantly disregard our laws. Any reluctance to act on this matter is unacceptable. The 287G program is not optional, it is necessary. Criminals who have no legal right to be here are exploiting our community. They drive up housing costs, take up space in our schools, and put our community at risk. Why would you hesitate, leaving us vulnerable? Enough is enough. We will not tolerate a sheriff who makes excuses for refusing to help ICE or a commissioner's court unwilling to give the sheriff what he needs to get his job done. We demand Hood County officials sign the 287G agreement with ICE immediately, give our deputies the tools they need to remove the illegal immigrants from our community before it is too late. Anything less than complete cooperation with the Trump administration is a dereliction of duty. We must deport every illegal. The clock is ticking. Sheriff and commissioners, act now or step aside for people who will. So that's the email that I received. And I, thank you, Sheriff, and all the people that spoke for coming up and explaining where we are in the program. And as you said, you're already in the process of doing the warrant service. And for anyone who's interested, I put the links on the agenda. The documents are out there, the process is out there. There's a list of all the counties that are participating in any or all of the 3 programs. As there's 47 counties that have already been approved, and as Mr. Harrell said, there's another 10 or so that are in the process, and that would include Hood County, because you've now submitted your application for your memorandum for the warrant program. I just wanted to have a discussion among the court, because I don't want you to feel like this is being forced down your throat. I want this to be a collaborative agreement with, or collaborative process with Commissioners Court and the Sheriff's Department to comply with, or to help President Trump and the state of Texas to make sure that this is a safe state and country for people to live and work in, and appreciate everything that you do and your staff does on a daily basis to work with ICE and to help us be a safe community. So
yeah, we'll definitely do that. We've always done that. I definitely support Trump and everything about him. By him shutting down the border, my street crimes unit, they're having to look in other directions to find work to do, because we were hitting them hard, working with DEA to take them down, the people that were coming straight from the border. Now that's shut off, so they're having to get it from, I guess it's coming from the west, coming from the east, but it's not coming from the south right now. So Trump's doing what he's supposed to do. The Border Patrol is doing what they're supposed to do. We're going to help in any way we can. I think there's just a whole bunch of misinformation out there that we're going to all, the sheriff's office is just going to jump and run and go round up all these illegal aliens. That's still ICE that has to do that. And some are in the country legally, a lot are not. They got to sort that out. That's not a us problem. That's a them problem. But if they break the law of the state of Texas, we're going to do something about it. We're going to hold them, we're going to get them detained, and we're going to make them deal with whatever they went through, you know, DWI to whatever. And if they go to prison, then after prison, they're going to get deported, never to be heard from ever again, to come back in the state of Texas or in the United States. And so we're doing everything we can, but it's not, it's like this got proposed out there that the 287 was, we're all going to grab our arms and go out there and round up these people, and that's not the case. The majority of all this is working with the jails. So it's once they're arrested and brought in there, getting that process through the jail. And we're doing that. We always have done it. Biden didn't have anything like this. Back when Trump was in office before, I didn't hear about this. But we're signed up. We're waiting to hear back. And we've always done it. And we're going to keep doing our job. And I guess it's brought to light that, yeah, I need more people to do a lot more stuff. So, hey, yeah, we'll take all we can get.
So that's the next question I have. So if you were to, what I'd like to know, and if you could bring that to the court, is if you were to sign up and do the memorandum for the jail enforcement model and the task force model, what would that take? What would you need to do that? So, well, I mean, you don't have to answer right now, but if you want to take some
jail,
time.
I don't feel like in a small jail like I've got, I wish I had a bigger jail because we got so many people in the system, but the few that I get into the system, you know, I figure a couple of them is going to be fine to help process that paperwork and be in contact with ICE. As far as the task force stuff, when they get that figured out, I feel like I've got to have, you know, we just talked about the comp time and the holiday time, and that's a losing battle, and it always has been. So if I had, we're trying to get 8 on a shift for patrol. If I had maybe 10 on a shift, then we'd be able to help people take off time and still keep things covered in the county and keep everybody safe. And then if I was going to send some people off for this task force thing, then I, you know, probably wouldn't want to send more than 2 for this size county. The big counties, you know, I hope that they help and get more involved. So, but I, you know, I wouldn't think that with the task force, if I could do 1 or 2, that'd be great. But I'd have to have reinforcement back on the patrol side so I could cut down on the comp time, the holiday time, and all this other stuff. So we could do our job around here before we worry about taking care of the state of Texas.
And you have currently two openings or not? What's your latest count on?
Yeah, yes, I believe I got 2 openings in the jail, 2 openings in patrol too.
Patrol. So, I don't want to, maybe some of the other commissioners have some comments.
think the sheriff is doing everything he can. Want to continue doing that. I like the fact he cooperates with ICE and doesn't just release them, turn them out on the street up there. You get with ICE, they break the law, you arrest them. I think, and he signed up for it. I think.
Well, he signed up for one. What I'm asking is, what would it take, what would you need from the court to be able to participate in the other two? Maybe you can bring that back to during either next court or in the future so that we could make a decision to help you to be able to participate in this, the other two. And thank you again for signing up for the warrant process. And I know to me, you've already been doing what the model was saying to do. It's just making it official with this memorandum that, hey, we are participating in this warrant process, so.
We are, and as far as, just like I said, to take care of Hood County, that's my main deal. Take care of Hood County, serve the people of Hood County. So, yeah, if I had 8 people to cover and patrol, 2 on each shift, I work 24/7, round the clock. And then if I had 2 more, so 10 extra people in patrol, then I could look to the future of getting involved in that task force.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to hire somebody fresh out of the academy and send them, so I'd want to get them
backfill,
get them trained, get them through the field training, and then see what we got and who's going to volunteer to do it. I'm not going to force anybody to do it, so it's not going to be something that I could make happen in the next, few months.
And I think that the one, you've mentioned this a couple of times for like the larger county, basically what that other, the third step here would be, you're basically training somebody to be an ICE agent in your jail. Is that kind of what that boils down to? Am I getting that right?
Not really.
Well, the first two deals are the jail deal. It's more in-depth as far as that. They go to the 4 weeks of training. That's in the jail. That's a jailer.
Right.
Then the warrant officer, that's still a jailer, but it does less than what the person that gets sent off for 4 weeks to the East Coast. So that's the one I'm looking at doing. I can't lose 4 people out of the jail all at once. We're sitting on a guy up in Fort Worth right now at the hospital, and that takes, 1 extra person by itself. So, and then we're down 2 people anyway. It's hard to get full. There isn't a whole lot of people that want to get into law enforcement nowadays. We don't have them knocking down the door, and we're trying.
And I guess my question is there a practical difference between sending somebody for the 4 weeks of training and what we're doing right now, as far as what it would affect an outcome in Hood County?
From talking to the ICE guy up in Dallas, he even told me that that jail module is that they send the people off, that's for the big jails that they deal with every day, all day. So Collin County's working on getting there. Tarrant County has been doing it for a while. Lubbock has been doing it for 7 years. So they're big jails. So he recommended just this warrant officer one. And when I told him I'd send some investigators, he said, no, this is a jail thing. So that's 8 hours of training. Online training is what they've got that narrowed down to, so we can handle that.
And Parker County, our neighbor, they've signed up for just the warrant process as well. There's several others. Kendall County is in the warrant process. As I said, this list is online under that link that's attached to the agenda if anyone wants to go and check out what other counties are doing compared to what we're doing. And again, thank you, Sheriff, for sending off the paperwork for the warrant process. And I think the discussions on the jail and the task force, maybe we can have those during the budget discussion or maybe earlier. But just know that me personally I can't speak for the rest of the court, but I want to be sure and provide you with whatever resources you need to be able to participate in this process.
Thank you.
Sheriff, are you, everybody through for a minute? Okay. I just wanted to kind of summarize, because I heard you say something about misinformation out there, and I've heard a bunch of it today. Just want to kind of bow this thing up so we can move on. This 287G program is, we're talking about 3 components.
Correct.
You're talking about jail enforcement, warrant enforcement, task force.
Correct.
And the jail enforcement, and I'm just going to read some notes here, allows trained and authorized law enforcement officers to identify non-citizens who are already arrested, you're already in custody, who have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. So the jail component, you've already, got a captive house, don't you?
Correct.
So all you got to do is understand what you have to, the information that you need to identify whether they're citizens or not. And you're doing that.
And we're doing that.
And you got 11 or, right now, you had 8, I think, a few weeks ago. You got 11 now.
Yep.
So that's pretty manageable, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the warrant service officer, same thing, except you can issue administrative warrants for civil immigration violations to designated non-citizens who are already incarcerated. And you've sent off a letter for that, right?
Correct.
Now, the task force, I've heard some colorful stuff about that today, but that is the task force, if you were to go to that 3rd component, would be if you're out on the street and you pull somebody over. In other words, you have a contact, I think that's what law enforcement calls it, with someone for speeding or running a light or whatever. You could run checks on them in that respect, but you're not, it's not like, from what I've heard today, it's like there's people out here, and this is very, by the way, this is pretty much totally partisan. This is, this is Democrat, Republican, it's right down the line. But I don't think there's going to be buses or paddy wagons going out like you see in the movies in Germany, pulling into down on the middle of a street, and SWAT teams jumping out and jerking people out of their house. That's not going to happen, right?
Correct. It is not going to happen, yeah.
So basically, it's just giving, this 287G is just giving you a couple more tools to do your job.
Correct. The task force thing, like when we've had ICE come into the county in the last couple of months, it's a focused deal that they know who they're coming for, they know where they're at. No problems, they come in, they get them, and then they leave, take them back to, like, Dallas, I guess is where their first holding place is. But, yeah, it's not like the movies. It'll never be like the movies.
But you agree that if there's somebody in this country who's not a legal citizen, that they're committing an illegal act by being here, correct?
Correct. Yeah, no doubt about it. They're breaking the law by being in this country. I'm all about that. So.
And if they're breaking the law, they're criminals.
Correct.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it. You want to go ahead and do this? All right. The next item is going to be, we're going to recognize April is Autism Awareness Month. So if everybody that's with that going to come up down here, please. nice to meet you here. Well, good. Well, good. If she put it all together, she write it, would you like for her to read it? Okay, well, good. Marie, well, good. You did a great job. Here it is, right here. So why don't you stand up here and, you got a picture here? Yeah.
I got one still back there. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay, now you can go ahead and read it. Yeah, you speak up now so they can all hear you.
Whereas about 1 in 36 children in the United States have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. About 1 in 45 adults in the United States have been identified with autism spectrum disorder. And whereas autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disorder that impacts the way individuals communicate and interpret their environment. And whereas individuals with ASD often have challenges with social interaction and processing information. And individuals with ASD often have difficulty understanding what others are trying to tell them and therefore struggle with social interactions. And autism spectrum disorder begins in early childhood and eventually causes problems functioning in society. Now, therefore, the Hood County Commissioners Court hereby proclaims the month of April 2025 as Autism Awareness Month and calls upon all citizens in Hood County to increase their participation in understanding, supporting, encouraging autism awareness and acceptance for inclusion, to ensure individuals with ASD are given opportunities to succeed and live the best quality life.
Thank you. Great job. Anything else? Would anybody else like to say anything? No? Well, thank you all for coming down here today. You do a great job. Good luck to you. Okay. Thank you all. Hey, thank you. Nice to meet you. Hey, you went to the wrong company. Ah, okay. Well, good. Yeah, there you go. There you go. How are you? How are you? Good. Okay, but you'll do it. All right. Good luck to you. Good. Nice meeting you. What do you got? Don't you lose your start. Thank you all. Okay, item number 9, discuss and take appropriate action to adopt grant policy and procedures. Okay, Patrick, and I think I know you, Ms. Matlock. What do you have for us?
Judge, Commissioners, this new version of the document is taking in feedback from previous feedback that y'all given in the last time I spoke here, as well as a meeting I was fortunate enough to have with Commissioner Samuelson and Eagle. The big differences between this one and the previous version that y'all have seen is a greater focus on identifying the Commissioners Court as the primary authority, such as in Section 2, and focusing on like some clarity for issues like what about pre-existing grants, which is covered in Section 11.
Okay. Do you have anything, Commissioner Samuelson?
Well, one of the things that we talked about was, which I thought would help with clarification, is just to explain to the the people who are applying for grants or the departments that are applying for grants, is how will it be implemented? Is this going to be with new grants, or do they fall into this, whatever phase they're in? Or could you explain that, please?
So On page 9, section 11, pre-existing grants, the only requirement is that if a department currently has grants they're working on, that they would similarly need to elect a project manager. That's typically whoever's been filling out the paperwork who hits the renewal button. And then that individual can elect to either continue to handle it, let them continue work as needed, or say, hey, actually, I would like the grant writer to take a more active role in writing and maintaining the grant. Outside of that, the only requirement is that they need to let us know so that we can report to y'all accurately what grants are currently being applied for, how that money is currently coming in, and speak with Ms. Matlock to go ahead and ensure that any budgeting concerns are resolved accordingly.
Okay. And then, and you said a monthly report, you're going to just include like a status of grant applications and grants in progress in your monthly report. Okay. Thank you this is a well-written document. I think that this will provide a lot of guidance to the county.
Thank you.
So,
Do I hear a motion?
yes, with that, I'll make a motion to adopt the grant policy and procedures.
Second.
Okay. Motion been made by Commissioner Samuelson to adopt the grant policy and procedure, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Great job. Okay. Item number 10, discuss and take appropriate action to authorize the county auditor to subscribe to a third-party hotline service in conjunction with the implementation of the fraud, waste, and abuse policy. Cost not to exceed $1,000 annually from Contract Services Fund 010-4090-40800. Yes, ma'am. You gonna get this all for $1,000 a year?
Well, I went out and got a few quotes, and actually the most well-priced is called Safe Hotline, and it appears to cost $360 for the year. Oh, wait, excuse me, $690 for the year to have a third-party hotline manage any fraud, waste, or abuse phone calls. They also have a link we can put on our website. So I'm pretty happy with them as our choice to move forward to have a third party, if you guys agree to that within this policy.
Is it going to be on the website so that if a citizen has a question about somebody contact them with a scam or something, you can call about that?
It's intended to report fraud, waste, or abuse of county resources. So if they do see some type of fraud within the county, like a vendor fraud or something of that nature, someone stealing materials, something that is a county resource, this is what the intention is.
But only for a county resource, not for an individual. We have a lot of senior citizens that are being taken advantage of. They can't use that for anything.
So that would be a police officer or a deputy type crime that they can report through those channels. So this is just another arm of our fraud, waste, and abuse. It's an opportunity for this side of things to be reported.
This concerns fraud, waste, and abuse within the county, correct?
Correct.
Within the workings of the county, the employees, the elected officials. It's not countywide. It's just, this goes to people who work within the county who may see something that they feel like need to be reported, and they don't want to, they're afraid to report it to their supervisor or report it to the county, for instance. This is a third-party anonymous hotline where someone in the county who sees something happening that they feel like is not right, where they should feel comfortable to be able to report it without the potential repercussions. Is that pretty much right?
Similar to like a whistleblower protection.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It would be anonymous, and this, so the fraud, waste, and abuse policy is, the reason this is on here without the fraud, waste, and abuse policy is because she needs to know if this is going to be part of the policy so that she can finish writing the policy. So any other questions? Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to authorize the county auditor to subscribe to a third-party hotline service in conjunction with the implementation of the fraud, waste, and abuse policy. Cost not to exceed $1,000 annually from Contract Services Fund 010-4090-40800.
Second.
Made by Commissioner Samuelson to authorize the county auditor to subscribe to a third-party hotline service, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously, okay? Item number 11, we're going to take this at the end of the meeting, and so we're now down to number 12, and that's says receive presentation to discuss the enterprise fleet program. We have the sheriff again, and Commissioner Samuelson, Commissioner Eagle, and we got some people here to talk about this, I guess from executive, right?
Yes.
Enterprise.
Yes.
Okay. What have you got?
I just want to say thank y'all for listening today. This is part of an ongoing issue. Ever since I came and had to ask more money for maintenance, we're trying to be more financial responsible and also to help the needs of our sheriff's office. So we've invited Enterprise today for a presentation, and we can go from there. So
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them.
Please introduce yourself.
Judge and Commissioners, thank you so much for having us. My name is Nick Hardwick with Enterprise Fleet Management, and my colleague Mariah here. So our goal for today is really to walk you through, give you an overview of what we do, how we do it, what we're doing for other counties throughout the state, as well as municipalities that we work with across the state. This is very much a Q&A session, so please pepper me with questions. But really, we have 2-3 primary goals for today. One, get some direction from the court if this is something they want to consider, put it as a future consideration item. Also, in what format they would like to see this, and what direction from a funding perspective they would like to see the outcomes of that. And then, obviously an overview of the timeline of when they would like to see this come back as a consent item, which will impact, the financials associated with this. So we're going to give an overview of us, what we do, how we do it, walk through financial analysis in a couple different formats today. Again, I'm going to be as succinct as I possibly can because it's a lot of information to roll through, and for y'all asking questions that you have. But before I get started, I always like to ask, are there any initial questions?
Let me ask you one.
Yes, sir.
Is any of our neighboring counties using this fleet program for their?
Yep, you beat me to the punch. So yes, Erath County is probably the closest one to here that we currently work with them for a few years. We've recently partnered with the city of Granbury as well as one of our within the last few months. So they're a relatively new client of Enterprise. But just to give you an idea of what we do and how we do it, we work with 30-plus counties across the state currently, 250-plus municipalities across the state, and really to help them manage their fleet and really find ways to reduce the overall cost of ownership of fleet. Really about how can they spend money differently and not necessarily better, but in a more effective manner. And we're really looking at what I call the soup to nuts of owning and operating a fleet of vehicles, and the overall financial impact of that. And it's all about knowing when to buy and when to sell assets, and how can we lower our operating costs and reduce what we call our total cost of ownership. We have 2 primary cooperative awards in the state that most piggyback off of either TIPS or Sourcewell, and we have a fleet management award, which is a very broad award in nature. Really gives a lot of flexibility to do a lot of things under those awards. Hopefully that answers your question. Yep. Perfect. So a couple of things here. When it comes to how we're spending money, most counties tend to drive decision-making a lot of times off capital decisions, right? How much money they have to spend on capital, and that's what really drives influences our decision to replace vehicles or add vehicles or whatever it might be. We look things very differently, a lot more macro, a lot more holistically. Not just what does it cost to go out and acquire vehicles that we need each and every year, but also, hey, is there a point in time where we should sell an asset off? And then where are all the pennies going as it relates to the operational related things, fuel, maintenance, even driver downtime and things like that, insurance or risk related impacts, really everything goes into owning and operating a fleet of vehicles. Part of our job is to look at that on an annualized basis and know what we spent and put strategies in place to further drive down those costs in the future and adapt to the economic market as it relates to vehicles. And I always think about it very much like the stock market, right? Knowing when to buy and when to sell assets off. And does running them till they die, does that really make sense? Or running them out 10, 20 years, does that make sense? What we see and what we know, it really doesn't, and that really drives some of the advice and guidance that we provide to our clients. As well as, hey, what should we operate? Should we buy a Ford, Chevy or Ram or Nissan or whatever it is? Hey, what's the lowest cost of ownership vehicle at any one point in time? And obviously, when should we sell off that asset? And it's a moving target. I mean, the nature of things, and even with things with tariffs come down, are impacting some of that as well. And what you're really engaging enterprise to do is to act, as an extension of the county, as your fleet department for all intents and purposes, to leverage our expertise. Enterprise is one of the largest family-owned companies in the United States today. If you're a history buff, we're named after USS Enterprise. That's where we got our name from. The same family who founded us still owns us today, and we manage and own the largest fleet of vehicles in the world today. No one does a bigger scale than Enterprise, which gives us a lot of oversight and understanding of the economic conditions, because when you got 1 million, 2 million vehicles under management, you make $1 mistake on your vehicle, you just made a couple $1 million mistake as a business. That's really how we look at things. Small incremental changes to reduce big impact is really what we're talking about. Looking at even what you should operate, we rolled through this recently with the sheriffs. What vehicle is the lowest cost? Each and every year, it's different. I mean, there's a new vehicle in the market in pursuit that is a Durango. Not saying this is what the county has to do, but this year the lowest cost of ownership acquisition is the Durango, and that's what makes good financial sense. For in this given year, but next year we might be giving you a different set of advice. And a lot of this is driven around manufacturers and the governmental rebates that they're putting out there each and every year, and that is constantly changing and evolving. Also looking at, hey, when is the right point in time to buy and sell an asset? And we look at not just this is an example of one. We went and buy this truck for $43,700, and at different points in time, that vehicle is going to have an inherent resale value associated with that. And what we look at is the delta between those two numbers, and then you divide that over the years. What is the average annual acquisition cost of that vehicle? And that what influences the decision to replace that asset, or at least the guidance. I always say we're in the advice business, not the decision-making business. Our job is to give the county all the advice that can stand, and really we take our marching orders from the county and execute upon those. So each year we're going to come to you and say, hey, these are the vehicles we recommend to replace. Here's the financial implications of those decisions that we're going to make. What would you like to do? And that's what the county would be hiring us to do. I always like to show real-world examples of how this plays out. This is an example from one of our other government entities we work with, where we bought a vehicle. We actually only held this vehicle for 2 years. Over that 2-year period of time, they made a total of about $15,000 in payments between the lease payments on those vehicles, as well as the maintenance and repair expense. When we sold that asset, we cut a check back to them from nearly $18,000. So over that period of 2 years, they actually ran a credit, operational credit on the vehicle. Can't do that with every single vehicle. You can't do that with a sheriff's patrol vehicle, but it's just kind of a unique way of looking at things of, hey, let's capitalize on the marketplace and what's going on at any given time. And like I say, it's a spinning dartboard too. We're trying to hit these numbers all the time. That's our job and part of what you're hiring us to do. Acquisitions of vehicles. So there's multiple ways to go out and acquire vehicles. State contract dealers, the vast majority of vehicles we acquire for the counties we work with are directly through the manufacturer at the governmental buy channels at the factory direct level. It's a way for us to keep our acquisition cost as low as we possibly can. And at times we will leverage local dealer relationships and state contracted dealers at any given point in time to really try to identify, hey, what's the lowest cost way to acquire a vehicle? And because we buy so many vehicles, well over 1 million vehicles, it gives a lot of insight and oversight of how to do it. Part of the job also is to take some workload off the plate. So ideally, we'll help coordinate some of that upfitting out. So light sirens, those sort of things associated with putting a vehicle into service, even as it rolls out to the precincts in the future. It could be a road and bridge vehicle or something like that needs toolboxes and things like that. Try to get as close to road ready as we possibly can when it goes into service. Again, we'll do as much or a little around that as you want us to, but part of what you're hiring us to do is really to, again, take workload off the plate of the county.
I have a question on
Yes,
that. With some of the upfitting and stuff, that's one of the reasons that we've stayed with similar models is, whenever this lifetime of this vehicle goes out, we can take that cage out and put it in a new one and computer stands and that kind of thing. Where do those costs factor into this? Is that included in the lease? We never actually own that stuff. That's also part.
Yes, so we usually capitalize some of it into the financing. It's called a lease. It's really just a finance at the end of the day. Some will capitalize in, some will bill, upon delivery, depending on what that is. If it's transferable, usually there's only certain things you can really budget. It's specific to a sheriff's vehicle that you can budget to really transfer. Sometimes radios, cameras, radars, computers, those sort of things are somewhat transferable at times depending on a lot of different factors. Cages, lights and stuff are, if we can, that's great. It's kind of gravy, so to speak. It's not really something you can budget for because the manufacturers love to change configurations of vehicles on a very regular basis. So it's really, so when we're putting together a budget, really got a budget for the replacement of that, over and over every time we go and replace one of those vehicles. And I'd say the right point in time to replace most sheriff's vehicles, depending on mileage, is somewhere between 3 to 5 years, just depending on mileage factors and equipment cost and things of that nature. So as you cycle stuff more regularly, there are some more transferable items. When you run them out a long time, it becomes very, very difficult to actually transfer an item over. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yep, thank you.
Perfect. Remarketing of vehicles. This is a big piece. Knowing when to sell a vehicle and really how to sell it. We sell 0% of vehicles through public forums any one given year. We sell the vast majority of vehicles outside of auctions in general. About 85% of the vehicles we sell every year are sold outside of auction channels, and only about 15% are sold through auctions. And really the reason why is because we're reselling vehicles on a lot more regular basis than the county historically has. And we're trying to tap into a buyer base that wants to buy a vehicle with $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. I mean, you have to have some unique buyer channels to be able to get those sort of revenue returns on those assets. And then we can demand a lot higher return outside of the auction channels. We have hundreds of people that work for us. Their sole job is just to sell vehicles, and we sell vehicles very much how we sell our rental car as well. A little fun fact about the rental car brand: about 3/4 of its profits come from selling rental cars, not the actual rental car activity itself. Yes, sir.
Randy, we're looking at right now, in 22, you said you sold over 1,100,000 vehicles. What's the percentage of those were prior law enforcement vehicles?
Percentage of those, it'd be a smaller percentage of them. Probably could be 10%. I don't really know off the top of my head. I'd be guessing a little bit about what those. But we're selling thousands upon thousands of them every single year. So we have really good depth of knowledge, and it goes up each and every year. So when it comes to operationally related items, maintenance and repair, fuel, telematics, so GPS tracking on vehicles. We have a few different programs there. On all the non-pursuit rated vehicles, the newly acquired ones, we can actually put them under what's called a fixed cost program. The reason we do that, because it gives us a lot of predictability of expense. We'll be able to know month one through month whatever exactly what we're going to spend on maintenance and repairs. And then all the pursuit rated vehicles and any of the existing vehicles in the fleet today, they go in our maintenance management program. What that means is it goes in a shop somewhere, the shop, charges $1, we bill the county back $1 after we audit the cost of labor, cost of parts, make sure the repair aligns with what's actually going on with that vehicle. We use a platform called GeoTab for tracking, getting mileage-related information, driver-related information, diagnostics off the vehicle, real-time information off the vehicle. Nowadays, you don't actually even need to plug in hardware anymore. You turn on the magic box that's inside the vehicle, and it starts reporting information that flows into our site. And we use a third-party provider, WEX or Rack Express, as our fuel card provider that links up with all of this information. And the really importance about this is data collection to use future analytics to be able to drive decision-making around the fleet. Again, looking at things very holistically. Where are all the dollars going? I think I might have, one of these slides is off a little bit. I was having some trouble getting some stuff sent out. Mobile application is not something counties this size typically use, but it allows us to locate, fueling sites, maintenance locators, report accidents if they occur, roadside assistance as well. And all this information, feeds into our website. So in the future, the county, a county employee would be able to, click on a vehicle and year date, life date, everything that ever occurred on that vehicle as well. And so really that becomes our job. Again, we use that for future information around it as well. I think I might have attached something wrong, because I was having trouble emailing this out, sir. There was a PDF one I sent out to you. I think I might have, because the analysis is popping through. I apologize for I was having some cell issues in this room. I apologize.
Yep, you will have those in here.
I think I might accidentally attach the wrong one in my panic. Yeah, that one there. Sorry about that. You want to keep scrolling down. Most things are the same. So I broke this is the fleet analysis of it. So we're really just talking about the sheriff's vehicles at this point. And currently there's about 60 vehicles in service. There's technically 61 out there, but one's being sold or maybe it's already been sold by now. On average, the sheriff's department is holding vehicles for about almost 9 years today. And just to blend across everything, and spending roughly $1.3 million a year on the fleet as a whole. So about $900,000 a year on acquisitions of vehicles, a little over $400,000 every year on maintenance and repair and fuel for those vehicles. So every year we're about $1.3 million as a whole. And what this really does is look at, hey, could we cycle vehicles on a more regular basis and reduce costs? This also includes the addition of 4 vehicles. There's technically 6 vehicles you'll currently have on order today. And of those 6, there's 2 of them that are going to be downside or be sold off, but there are 4. This also includes the growth of those 4 units. So in the first years, what this really represents is we are going to be replacing roughly 45 of the soon-to-be total of 64 vehicles. It'll be 45 acquisitions, so we're replacing 80-ish% of the fleet in the first year. And what that does, it just creates a shift away from purchasing and moves it to a financing model is is what this is. And so each year, based on what we're going to acquire, we're going to have a finance payment. We're going to also have equipment costs for those vehicles. So what the outfitting of those vehicles, light sirens, all that stuff. I worked closely with Denise to roll through all of the equipment for each and every vehicle. What do we need to budget for those? Do we need to budget 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand for the equipment? Because law enforcement equipment has gotten more expensive in the last few years, as I'm sure the court is very much aware. And so we have to take into those budgetary factors when you're putting this out. And so really the big is, can we reduce our operational cost or maintenance, repair, and fuel, which is what this represents? And then two, can we create revenue from resale over a period of time that historically hasn't been there of any real significance to help balance this out? And the combination of all those things, can we reduce cost over a period of time? And this is really what this is meant to represent, is every year we're buying and selling assets, and bringing that revenue in there historically hasn't been there, that ultimately helps us reduce our total cost of ownership, and getting out of the buy, hold, and wait till we have a problem to replace the vehicle. We always say that when you wait till you have a problem with a vehicle, you just miss the mark, because you're either stuck putting money into an old asset that's really not worth anything, or two, you're stuck selling something that's really not worth anything because it's a broke down vehicle. It becomes a paperweight that we're selling out there. And can we sell vehicles where they have inherent value to them? And before we have major repairs starting expenses associated with those vehicles are going to ultimately drive down our total cost of ownership. And this is very much a long-term strategy around the fleet of knowing when to buy and sell things. Again, just like the stock market, and what's the ultimate impact going to be over a period of time. Because we know, as the largest owner-operator buyer selling vehicles, renting vehicles till they die is really never the right thing. As you saw in the previous slide where I showed, hey, what's the resale impact at different points in time. What questions do we have? I know there's a lot of numbers here. I think it was also asked of us, can you scroll down to the next one? I'm so sorry. If can the county continue to self-fund this and not use a financing model? Yes, you can. And it actually would save the county a lot of money because you're not having to incur interest costs. The only downside to that is the capital requirements getting this off the ground, right? You're used to spending $900,000 a year on acquisitions, and in the first year, I'll be asking you to spend $3.8 million to acquire, and that's why most government entities, probably 95% of the government entities we work with don't self-fund because it just takes them so long to realize the financial impact. And we can do a hybrid of these two things where instead of when we sell a vehicle, we're cutting a check back to the county, you can roll the equity into the vehicle, which it really creates a blend between these two things. So because you're financing less money that way, so you do have reduced interest costs if you're rolling equity into it, or again a hybrid where you pay some of it up front, we finance a portion of it. It really depends on what makes sense for the county. That's part of the direction I'd like to get from the court today. Is like y'all feel like I looked at your budget. I don't see where y'all can handle the capital requirements without having to really kick the can down the road much further from a replacement strategy standpoint. So I think it sounds like we really feel like we need to be somewhere between a blended hybrid, what I call rolled equity modeling, or just using a straight finance model. The positive of the straight lease model is, in the first year when we roll this out, we're gonna have a lot of equity from resale of your existing vehicles as we sell those off. That really help kick off the program, make it very palatable, financially in the first couple of years of getting things off the ground. And then after that, we can actually slowly transitioning into other formats.
I have
also.
a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the difference between this page and the page before is this is more of a pay all the lease up front.
Yep, correct. Yeah,
That's
pay
what
for the
this
vehicle
is.
up front.
So, but in the prior slide, it was a
Leasing.
normal lease of
Correct.
monthly payments.
Yep.
Monthly lease payments. This is upfront lease. You pay the whole lease up front.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically if I go
So
buy,
you
a
save your
vehicle.
finance.
Sorry.
You save your finance
Yeah,
charges.
correct, yeah, which, with today's interest market, it is somewhat significant. So I think for y'all, what my recommendation would be is we start off with a leasing model and migrate it into what I call the rolled equity model, which would be it falls somewhere in the middle of these two over a period of time. That would make it, eventually where we can start reducing some of our interest cost as a way to offset that. I mean, hopefully the Fed's going to drop the interest rate some more, and maybe it won't be such a big discussion in the future. But right now, with interest costs where they are, you're spending about $1 million in interest over a decade, give or take.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure I understood
yes,
what
ma'am.
you were saying when you were saying what this $3.5 million was. That's an upfront lease.
Yeah, so basically, if I go buy a vehicle for $50,000, you're cutting me a check for $50,000 for that vehicle up front.
Okay.
It was asked of us at a previous meeting that we show the kind of the different options there. And again, there's a lot of flexibility within this, where as a privately held business, and enterprise self-funds all this through our trust. So it gives us, we have a lot of flexibility of how to actually structure this as well. Any questions? All right, keep going. Already talked through this because keep going. So we also have currently 17 maintenance shops currently contracted within the county currently as well. We already work with some. I think y'all already work with today, and we might even look at adding one or two that y'all currently work with. So really not a whole lot of change there, other than these shops work directly with us. We cut the checks directly to the shop. The county is not having to, they're paying a single invoice for all of repairs for the month, and instead of having a bunch of different invoices to come and really getting our oversight of, hey, if the shop tells us it's a 5.5 labor hour job, we know it's a 3.3 labor hour job. We're providing that oversight for the county. Keep moving. I talked about the website already in the previous one. That's about it. What other questions we have?
There's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
And this is a big decision for the
Oh, for
county.
sure.
So I just, after the presentation that we sat through, I just thought it would be important for the rest of the court to hear
I
it
agree.
before they're presented with the decision.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I guess the direction I would like from the court is, number one, does the court feel like this is something that is, palatable for y'all, that y'all would like to see and as a future action item? That's the number one. The one thing we gotta get past. If there's not appetite for it, there's no reason for us to continue to kick this down the road, right? And then, secondly, I think I know the answer. We probably want to lean towards more of the financing model, I imagine, rather than self-funding, I would assume.
I mean, I guess there's some options on that. But one of the risks of doing it up front is you're paying for months up front that you may not use, because you may sell the vehicle or turn it back in, whatever the right word is. Before all the lease payments would have been paid. Is that?
Correct. From a cash flow standpoint, the financing leasing model makes way more sense, especially from a rollout standpoint. Because you're right, you're front loading all your payments, and maybe those dollars could be used somewhere differently on what I call underfunded or unfunded items that the county needs to take care of. I mean, sounds like there's growth going on in the county. We might need new officers for different programs that are coming down the pipe, and that would maybe inhibit often some of the requirements that you have. I mean, for doing so. So, in my very humble opinion, it would seem that at least starting with the financing model makes the best sense, and then we always can migrate to something else over time. This isn't Moses in stone, as I like to say. I mean, there's a lot we can adapt as it makes sense.
Thank y'all for coming in. We appreciate it.
Do you have a card?
Yeah, for sure.
That I think there may be some questions stem from this that we may.
I should hope so.
Yeah.
So, it's such a vast change for what you're doing. But first of all, I just like to ask if I can get some.
In addition to ERAF, can you name off a few other counties that are using this process?
Yeah, Gillespie, Webb, there's Hunt, there's Harrison, I think this one out in Marshall. Recently partnered with Ellis. We just recently partnered with Wichita as well. So those are some of the ones up here in this kind of
Part of Texas.
quadrant, part of Texas. You know, there's so many of them out there we work with. In addition to 130-ish or so, I believe, something of that nature. That's citywide, obviously, across everything. In the first year, I think we've replaced about 30% of the fleet's been replaced, thus ordered for replacement thus far. At least the last time I looked at it. And they went through a pretty long evaluation process of this too to make the decision. Yeah. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Like I said, we got 2 items that we're going to convene into executive session on, but right now we're going to go into the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to pull anything or discuss anything, or do I hear a motion?
I've got one thing to pull, Judge. It's item number 8, under B, under the treasurer, about approve and authorize signing of amended Hood County investment policy and strategies. I just wanted to pull that off the consent agenda for a second to discuss what this is about. We have every year we have to review our investment policy. So we have a resolution that we're going to be voting on today that states that we've reviewed the investment policy, et cetera, done our yearly review. And the policy, I just got a couple of things to point out for purposes of transparency, and then I'll be done. If I can get it to pull up. I'm working on it here. So every year, our investment policy was first enacted in 1996, and then we look at it every year. And the purpose of the investment policy is to comply with the Texas Government Code Title 10, Chapter 2256, which is entitled the Public Funds Investment Act, which requires an entity like the county to adopt a written policy regarding the investment of funds under its control. We may have funds for this or that that are available. We don't spend them for whatever reason, and we have very tight parameters if we invest that. The investment policy must address the methods, procedures, and practices that will be exercised to ensure effective and judicious fiscal management of Hood County funds. So if anybody's got any questions about that, it's available, our investment policy. The judge was, just went to his course. He's the chief investment officer, and he's designated to sign off on this, et cetera. Just wanted to pull this off to give you a little background on it, and it is available if somebody ever wants to, has absolutely nothing left, no life, and wants to do something and read this, they can. So I'll put it back. That's all I had, Judge.
Anybody have anything else, or do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as stated.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the consent agenda as stated, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any further comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, that brings us down to business to be discussed, number 9, and no road ops and no development. Holy smoke, I can't wait till the next 2 weeks. We'll be loaded down. All right. Now that brings us to Ms. Matlock for the financial stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The expenditures for this court, April 8, 2025, are $371,895.03. My office has reviewed all invoices and recommends payment.
Okay. Your motion?
Make a motion to approve the financials and pay the bills in the amount of $371,895.03.
Second.
Commissioner Samuelson to pay the bills in the amount of $371,895.03, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion?
That's just to, let the taxpayers know that of that amount that we're paying, $32,175 is going to Erath County for housing inmates in January.
And I'll tag that 85% of that cost would have stayed, we had to pay if we kept them here.
Anything else? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so at this time, we're going to, well, it's speaking on an executive item, so we'll call you, Mr. Gates, if we need you, but right now, we're just going to, at 11:10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to hear out what he has to say before we go back to talk.
Okay, Mr. Gates.
Is there a light on it?
Push. There you go. I want to first of all say, this is the first time I've been in front of you or even been in this room, and thank you. You guys have, you take a little heat in here. I'm not sure I'd want to be in your position on a regular basis that way, and you see it on the news and the big government. You don't necessarily see the things you're going through here too, and I realize your job is not easy, and I appreciate that as a citizen of Hood County. I would say that, along with that, it's interesting to see how nationally and locally a lot of the same issues arise, and I think you're in the middle of one now where you guys have done a good thing working with an NGO over the last 10 years of coming alongside a organization to help you service your people in the community. And now you're being fiscally responsible 10 years later to look towards what you should do next to meet the needs of the community as well as be fiscally responsible. So I applaud you for that as well. I've been in the, my name's Wade Gates. I've been in the fitness industry since 1986, many years. I've owned and operated anywhere from 15,000 square feet all the way up to 60,000 square foot facilities. Like I said, I have 9 facilities now and operate them on a daily basis. I'm also a pastor of a church in Granbury here, and I've been there for 11 years, about 10 years. And we do a lot of the same things that the Y intends on doing, and that's ministering to young people. One of the kids that was up on stage here earlier today, my wife works with directly, and that's what we do with our lives. I don't have a facility, a fitness facility in the Granbury area. My only ones, we came here specifically to work with the church, and I am called the mentoring pastor at our church because I mentor people. I work with young people and teach them basic principles of life to help them, in my case, know, love, and serve the Lord, but also just to live a life that would be a better citizen and to be better for them and encourage them. And I guess that's where I see maybe being a help to you and open myself at least up to you if you would like to enter into some kind of conversation on how I could help you with your current situation with the property that the YMCA now leases from you. I think, I believe that there should be some rent paid. I don't think what you guys are trying to do is evil by requiring fair market rent for a facility that is taking money from residents in the community to pay some back for the facility that you have there. And I think there could be a program which you could meet the needs of the community that I'd heard the last couple sessions you've had, that to meet the needs of the seniors in the area, to meet the needs of the people that want to use the pool, to meet the needs of the young people and doing camps and things. I think those things all should be met, but I also think that rent should be paid. And I'm here to be available to answer any questions or help you for that. Is it?
Okay, so at this time at 11:14, we're going to convene into executive session. May hang around or not? Thank you. Okay, we are convening back in the Commissioners Court here at 27 minutes after 12. No action was taken and an executive session, and we are continuing to negotiate our discussion negotiations. Thank you all, and this adjourns the meeting.